Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This episode features the Uncanny X-Men number 256, cover dated late December 1989. So this is Jim Lee's second issue of Uncanny X-Men, and it is the first part of a three-part storyline under the company crossover banner of Acts of Vengeance. Acts of Vengeance was a series where villains of particular superheroes clubbed together. In the background, the mastermind was Loki, in order to take on superheroes that they normally did not fight. So the Mandarin, who features here on Jim Lee and Scott Williams' cover, is a traditional Iron Man villain. And in this particular trilogy of Uncanny X-Men, he is taking on Wolverine. So this cover that I've just referred to and that you're seeing on screen is the first collaboration of Jim Lee and Scott Williams on the X-Men. So it's a fateful pairing in respect to subsequent issues that they would collaborate on. So the cover copy refers to the Mandarin there, this character here, and says he has a new assassin and Psylocke is her name. So in previous issues of Uncanny X-Men, Psylocke, Uncanny X-Men 251, Psylocke went through an object called the Siege Perilous, which had been presented to the X-Men in Uncanny X-Men 229 by Roma. And the Siege Perilous is an object device that, if you pass through it, it weighs and evaluates the worth of your soul and sets you up in a new life, the one that you deserve. Okay, so let's open up the first page here. So the setting of the story is Hong Kong, and we have a mansion up on a hilltop and some carnage leading into the mansion as the camera pans in through the door. And then what we have here on this splash page is this new character, Matsuo Tsurayaba, who is master or leader of a sect of the Reformed Hand. And the Hand is an organization of ninjas in the Marvel Universe. And this character here is the Mandarin. And what we see here on this page is Jim Lee's pulling out all the stops with these color holds, which he's using to give a picture of Hong Kong and its skyscraper buildings and neon lights. So we've got a blue and yellow color hold here and a red and yellow one here behind the Mandarin. And he's also using geotone, and/or it's Scott Williams is using the geotone for the shading of Mandarin's double-breasted suit there. So Tsurayaba is basically selling himself to Mandarin as a superior employee, so to speak, than his prior security, since he's made his way all the way into the Mandarin's office. And the Mandarin is saying, look, the Mandarin's power is derived from these 10 rings that he wears on his fingers, and he's saying, look, I could kill you with any one of my rings. But Tsurayaba says, well, you haven't proved so successful against Iron Man. So that intrigues Mandarin, who gives Tsurayaba a further hearing, and then Tsurayaba explains that he is going to be able to help Mandarin further his goals. And again, here in the background, we've got more of these color holes illustrating Hong Kong at night. Okay, and then what we get is this sequence of it's a strange sequence concerning Betsy Braddock, aka Psylocke. And what we're witnessing here, though we don't learn that until later on in the issue, is Psylocke's psyche, her reminiscences of her childhood. She's the twin brother of this character here, Brian Braddock, who is also Captain Britain. And in the middle of her reminiscences are these two characters, this fat character here and this female character here, who are revealed to be, well, there's some clue here with this spiral and eye on her cap, revealed to be Spiral and Mojo. There is that face there gives it away a bit more that it's Mojo. So Mojo is the ruler of a world called Mojo World, in which he's also a kind of CEO of a multimedia company, in particular a television company. And on Mojo World, the X-Men are star attractions on his channel. And it's revealed in this issue that in the past he inserted bionic eyes into Betsy Braddock Psylocke, by which he has had surveillance of the X-Men and has been broadcasting their adventures and what's been going on with them over the years. So this is a very dense issue. There's a lot of references to continuity from previous issues that isn't entirely explained throughout, and it really is a reminder to me of just how very complicated and sophisticated were comics, particularly Chris Claremont's X-Men comics at the end of the 80s. You really had to have your wits about you and to do your research. And this was all without the help of the internet or Wikipedia or any of those other websites to figure out who was who, what was going on, what was being referenced. And when Claremont adds these kind of dream-like fantasy hallucinatory sequences as well, it complicates things more. But it's a gift to the artist like Jim Lee, because it gives him an opportunity to draw different characters, different settings. It really is a challenge to storytelling as well, to keep things straight in the panel to panel flow, because here we have this transformation of Brian and Betsy into kind of quasi-medieval warriors fighting each other as a symbolization of their conflict. And all of this, as I say, is something that's going on in Psylocke's mind. And we're going to learn what's happening to her body in a few pages' time. So then there arrives their older brother, Jamie Braddock, who's dead at this point in continuity. And she's fantasizing about taking over the wheel of this Ferrari Testarossa here. And really all of this is kind of Claremont showing how Betsy has this yearning for adventure, action, that might be belied by her more demure English lady type appearance. But all of this is deep in her childhood, and it's going to connect up to what's happening later on in the issue. Okay, so the fantasy continues, and we have this kind of outrageous, sexy costume that she's imagining for herself in the fantasy. And here we have Mojo in the background inviting Betsy into this kind of shopping mall where she's going to try on different outfits. But in fact what happens is she's given a whole new body and she's transformed into an Asian woman. So this is the first full image of the new Psylocke, transmogrified, transubstantiated, whatever word you want to use, transformed into an Asian woman. And she is wrestling with this imaginary version of Storm in terms of the fact that she wonders why she wasn't chosen to be Captain Britain. Like, why couldn't she have had a more action adventure type identity? And it's what's going to come out now in this new version of herself. So then the scene switches to Matsuo Tsurayaba revealing to Mandarin that he came across a disoriented Betsy Braddock when she had come out the other side of the Siege Perilous, kidnapped her, and now they're working on transforming in the real world, so to speak, her body into that of an Asian bodied woman who will be an assassin of the hand under Tsurayaba's control. And he is making the case to Mandarin, that she could be very useful to him and his schemes. So here is Psylocke in this kind of tank where her body's being modified, and above the tank there is this figure who is telepathically guiding this process of corrupting Betsy's psyche so that she will turn and come over to the hand as one of their assassin agents. So back to Betsy's dream fantasy, and what's happening is that she's collecting a series of rings, the Mandarin's rings, and she takes one from Storm here, then she drops into Colossus's artist's loft in Soho, New York, and she takes a ring from him, and then she ends up in Las Vegas taking a ring from Dazzler, and then she ends up in Genosha and takes a ring from Havoc. Now all these X-Men characters in Uncanny X-Men 251, with the exception of Storm, who you saw in a previous video, dying at the end of 248. All of these ones have gone through the Siege Perilous, and these are indications of where they've ended up, which will be caught up on and explored in subsequent issues of Uncanny X-Men. So she takes the ring from Havoc here, and she takes a ring from Rogue and Carol Danvers. At this point in continuity, Rogue has the powers and memories and indeed psyche of Carol Danvers, and this is something that's going to get picked up on in a later issue of Uncanny X-Men, which I will make a video on in due course. And finally, she faces off against this character Slaymaster, who also has a ring that she is looking to get her hands on. And this particular character has a backstory with Psylocke. This throws her, and she's in great psychic pain, and so therefore is the telepath who's guiding the process. And Mandarin is skeptical about whether things are going to plan or not, but Tsurayaba says, it's impossible that what they're doing with Betsy is going to fail. So she's getting beaten up by Slaymaster, but in the background is Spiral and Mojo watching. Mojo's not pleased with how things are turning out here, so they intervene, or Spiral does, and Betsy, who's been blinded by Slaymaster, who's taken her eyes actually, begins to fight back. She's using her telepathic powers to see where he is, and she breaks through his helmet, which has been granting him some degree of protection from her telepathic power. And Mojo and Spiral here in the background are delighted. And what happens then is that it's revealed in this dream fantasy that Slaymaster has been Mandarin all along, and she uses her telepathic power to control the Mandarin so that he shoots himself in the head with one of his rings and kills himself. So here we have Mojo and Spiral fully revealed in the background as themselves. And a key bit of dialogue here between them is they're delighted now that Psylocke has beaten Mandarin. And Spiral says, "What comes next? Why, we give her inner eyes to match the outer ones we gave her long ago. These bionic eyes whereby they've been watching the X-Men and what's been going on in their lives and adventures. So she can see and act as clearly as we. Can't walk the wild ways after all without Mojo eyes to show the way." So back in our reality, outside of that psychic dreamscape, it appears that Psylocke that Suryaba's process has worked, even though the telepath is dead and the scuba diver's also dead. He's confident that the process has worked, that Psylocke is now turned and an agent of the Hand Assassins and will be a servant to the Mandarin. And as he says here in the penultimate panel, we have her lord, and through her, well, who knows, says the Mandarin. Who knows indeed, but this wicked Mojo-like smile indicates that she has not been turned by the process, that she has her own mind and faculties. And how is all of that going to turn out? Well, we'll have to return for the next issue, Uncanny X-Men 257. So do stay tuned to the channel for an upcoming video on that. So here you go. It's Jim Lee's second issue of the X-Men, the regular title, the Uncanny X-Men, and paired, as I said, with his most significant collaborator on inks, Scott Williams. The other creatives were Chris Claremont writing, of course, Glynis Oliver colorist, and Tom Orzechowski on letters. So there you go, Uncanny X-Men 256. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please like the video, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.